doing today, everyone? I just want to let you know my book is out and available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. The name is Parents Are Greatest Teachers. And now, back to our episode.
Hello, everyone. This is your host, Alex Belgood, and this is Leap of Health. And today we have Kizzy. She is from London. Well, she lives right now in London. She's not from London. She's Venezuelan. And she's one of our amazing guests from our 10-part series, Healing to Success. Welcome, Kizzy.
Hello, Alex. Thank you so much for inviting me to your podcast. This is such an amazing opportunity to be here with you today.
Thank you. I know we're like in different times, and this is what I love about technology, that we can connect with people all over the world, and I love this. And so tell us a little bit about yourself. How did Kizzy started?
Well, I am original from Venezuela in South America. Yeah. I was born and raised in a very hot city called Maracaibo. We have the petroleum, the oil industry there, and it is a very hot city. And I grew up when the country was a beautiful place, and people from other countries used to come to my country to live there because there was that sense of progress, and people could live happily in those days. So, well, unfortunately, we have now around 22 years with this dictatorship, this communism. Yeah. And this situation has forced many Venezuelans to flee the country. And I am one of them. I left my country in 2014 when I got married with another Venezuelan, but he was already living and working in London. We met through one of my colleagues. I was a university teacher. I used to teach communications and marketing. I'm a journalist. That's my background. And then I started to teach because I am a passionate of putting my knowledge into service. Yes. And I discovered that I really enjoyed that. So well, I met this man from Venezuela who was already living in London and working there through this colleague. She is his aunt. And by the time I was already single, I had been previously married and was divorced by then. And she was insisting, I have a nephew that you should meet. And I have a nephew that you should meet. And she was very insisting. So, yes, I said, well, let's try. Let's meet him. Who knows? And we had a long distance relationship for 2 years. He went to Venezuela to visit me twice. I came here to visit him twice as well. And then we said, in 2013, we said, what's the point on this? Let's get married and live together, and you can come here and let's live together, of course. And we had that vision of creating a family together as well. And I was very happy with that. The only thing was that in those 2 years and those, visits were very short, and we didn't get to meet each other properly in that time. So it was like 15 days every time, sometimes less. And by the time we got married, I got pregnant without planning that. So after the honeymoon, he had to come back because of his work, and I had to stay in Venezuela because I had to wait until my visa was approved. And that took 7 months to be approved. So I spent almost my whole pregnancy there with my family, and that was a blessing at that moment. But on the other hand, my then husband was not present in that very important moment. So when I came here, I was 30 weeks pregnant. I was allowed to be in that long journey from Venezuela from Caracas to London, because I had a very healthy pregnancy. And that was the first moment when we started to live together and to actually get to meet each other.
Yes, have a relationship.
Yes. So when the baby was born, the incongruences, the conflict started to arise, because yes, that situation moved that weak basement that we had. And we realized that we were not looking at the same place. I was looking through one direction and he was looking through the other one. There was no middle ground. But of course, when you have a new baby, you want things to work. And yes, I must acknowledge that both tried in different ways. He tried on his own way, but that way was not pleasant for me, and I tried in my best possible way as well, and that way was not pleasing for him either. So by the time my daughter was 3.5 years, I decided to stand up for what I believed was a really beautiful and respectful relationship, for the sake not only my mental health, but also for the sake of my daughter, because I grew up in a divorced family as well. And I know that our fathers are our first figure, of our male figure. And if we grow up seeing that there is a toxic relationship between our parents, then we tend to believe that should be the norm, that's the way relationships should be. And I didn't want that for my daughter. And yes, I left the marriage by that time. I was hoping that the divorce would be amicable, but it wasn't. It was very difficult. And that was 4 years ago. During that time, I have, built my confidence again, because I was in a very low state of emotionally speaking. I went through without of course, without noticing at that time, I knew that something was not right and that things shouldn't be like that, but I didn't have that name, that label to give to that relationship. But after leaving and starting to learn more about toxic relationships, I found out that I was going through coercive control. And that's a type of emotional abuse as well. Well, I started to build my confidence again. And when my daughter was 2.5, I wanted to find out answers to the fact that I had a very traumatic birth. And when she was 2.5, I discovered this. There was an ad on Facebook about a very well-known gynecologist. He's a French man called Michel Audin.
Mm-hmm.
He has written several books about natural birth and positive birth and water birth. So I was very, I was resonating with that, with his message. So I decided to take one of his courses. He runs courses in London for women and, well, not only women, but because there are also men, but for people who are in one way or the other related to birth.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to find out what happened, because I was looking forward to have a natural birth. And in the end, it all went through a cascade of interventions, and it didn't happen the way I had planned. And at that moment, I discovered that my calling in this lifetime is to be at service of other women, and that maybe I went through all of these difficult experiences in life it's because I have a very resilient personality, and I can overcome and I can remain grounded on myself, and I can start supporting other women in this respect. So my takeaway from that experience was that when we are in fear, when we feel threatened, our cervix doesn't open. When we don't feel emotionally supported, and that's what happened. So I decided to become a doula, and I did my training. And when I got divorced, I was in this situation. Okay, I need to start earning money, because now it all, all the heavy weight goes on me. Mm-hmm. So, but my daughter was very young still. So I had that situation, and having no family around, and being an immigrant in this country with visa, with a type of visa that doesn't allow me to be entitled to get any public funds at all. So I had to fasten that seat belt and start getting into the job field. But I didn't want a 9-to-5 job again, and working from 9 to 5, doing something that I was not happy, that I felt that my soul was crying every time I had to go through one of those jobs. And it's not, there's no, I mean, it's not bad, but if you don't feel that you are loving what you do, then what's the point? So I decided to start as a postnatal doula because my daughter was very young, and I didn't have that support to leave her with someone else for in case a birth happened during the night, for example. So with the postnatal work, I could adjust my time according to her timetable in the nursery, or she was with a childminder by that time, and that worked. My first client was it's a family, it's a mixed family. She is from South Africa, and the dad is from France. And they didn't have any family support either, so they wanted to have that external support from the doula when their baby was born. That was 4 years ago. The baby is almost 4 now, and I am still in touch with them because now I teach Spanish to her. So I was at the beginning, I was her postnatal doula. Then they called me, can you please come and be our nanny for some hours? And then they called me to teach Spanish to her. Okay. And that is such a beautiful thing to see that the relationship with this family and with others that grow into a form of friendship, sort of family-wise. It's very beautiful when you have that confidence and that you feel that they trust you as well. It's very beautiful and rewarding as well.
I love that. I love that. Sometimes we will go through trials and tribulations that we don't know where they're gonna get us. But you know, at the end, everything kind of like works out for us to be where we need to be. In this case, you know, you became a doula. And also, I would like for you to tell us a little bit about your new book. I know you became a doula and wrote a children's book. What is the book about?
Yes, that's a very exciting thing. So when my daughter was 4 years, of course, I know that every child has that beautiful and amazing imagination. And she started creating those stories, amazing stories that were the product of her imagination. And she was coming so excited to tell me all about those stories she had with her imaginary friends, and they had names, and all of them, she was seeing things and talking to them and having so much fun that I was so inspired. I started to write down the things she was telling me. And then I said to myself, you know what, this is very good indeed. This is not only for her, this is this meant to be a book, and for other children to enjoy as well. This was a very a very huge stretch for me because my first language is not English, and I wrote the stories in English, and also that they rhyme because my daughter loves rhyming books.
Yeah.
And yes, she inspired me. That muse came, and I have written 4 stories. The first one is already released and published. I'm a self-published author. They are about the wonders of a slow-paced childhood. She loves to be she is happier, like every child it is the same. They are happier when they are undisturbed by adult intervention, when they can play freely for hours, and when they are engaging in nature, for when they can find a stone in the way to school, and that stone can be a dinosaur egg or can be another thing. It's a treasure for them. And I want to promote the importance of getting back that slow-paced childhood, that children really need to grow at a slow-paced instead of being rushed and pushed to grow, because childhood goes so quick, so fast, and we don't get it back again, those precious years. So I think we should treasure them, not by keeping them in a bubble of fantasy, but also to recognize that it is the most important stage in our lives, when we form our identity as adults, is in this first 7 years. And that confidence, that kindness, that not only for yourself but for your friends, for the animals, for the plants, that it's created in the first 7 years of life. And I believe I am a strong advocate of that children, when they feel, they see, and they do with their hands, they engage better and they learn better.
Yeah, for sure. I think, as you said, nowadays all the all the kids, these modern age kids, are too into technology and being in this little world of the internet. But which is amazing. It has a lot of pros for sure. But I think for the child development, it's, as you mentioned, it is very important to still go outdoors, still wonder with little things, still discover and use their imagination for so many things. So that's awesome. That's really cool. What's the name of the book?
The book is called April's, like my daughter, April's Magical World and Her Joy for Living Slow.
Nice. For everyone out there, if you have little children or know any children that you would like to give this book, buy it and support local writers for sure. I love that. Who were your mentors? Who are some of those mentors that have brought you to this point in life where you're a writer now, you're a doula, you're also a you mentioned it earlier.
I'm a Spanish teacher as well.
You're a Spanish teacher, yes. So who are some of those mentors that brought you to this point?
Well, when I was married with my daughter's father, I I crossed with, she's a coach, and I wanted to get uh, parenting support because me and my ex-husband were very different in that respect. What I wanted for my daughter was not the same thing that he wanted. So I looked for an external advice, and she became not only our, it was a short, very short period when we had her as a parenting coach, but then she became my mentor. It was thanks to her that I saw myself again as the amazing woman that I am. At that moment, I was very vulnerable, and it was thanks to her that, I mean, she didn't tell me anything, but she just asked me some questions, and through those questions, I started to dig and dig deeper and deeper and deeper until I found that within myself, that wisdom that I wanted to be on my own. I wanted to be the best version of myself, not only for me, but for my daughter at every single now. And she was a very important key in that moment. And 2 years ago, I also met a wonderful lady that I think she was an angel that came to our lives. And it was a very strange situation, but we ended up living in her house for 7 days because we were having a leak in our house, in our flat. And the landlady sent us to live there with this lady. And she became a grandma for my daughter, who hasn't met her real grandma in the real life yet. And to me, she was one of those super empowered women that as soon as she opened her mouth, everyone listened, because she was so like confident, and she had that halo of wisdom that you feel safe around when you are with someone like that. And she was sick. She didn't tell anyone that she had cancer. And she didn't tell anyone. She just wanted to live her last years helping others, supporting others. And she passed away last year. It was a very meaningful moment as well for my daughter to learn about death of a loved one in a different way, because I grew up in a culture where we cry a lot, and there are screams, and in this opportunity, the lady she had written her own memorial, and she wanted everyone to wear red and colorful clothes and to be and to have hats and to be happy.
Mm-hmm.
And she asked for music and flowers. And it was so different because, yes, of course, people were sad, but they also were grateful for having met her and for having had her in our lives. So yes, she was also a very important person in the last 2 years. I think for me personally, the last 4 years of my life have been a real shift into embodying that person who is here in this lifetime to fulfill that dream. And
Mm-hmm.
I know now what I want in my life, and I am 100% going to that. And yes, I'm not bothering for things that just make me feel that I am wasting my time with doing things that don't make me feel that I am at service or that I am doing what I love.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, definitely. It's so amazing to be in this stage and to have overcome all those situations, toxic childhood, domestic violence, and coercive control, 2 divorces, postnatal depression, traumatic birth. But hey, I am I am strong, and I have a beautiful present, and I feel that I have so much to give.
Yes.
I'm very happy for that. Very
That is,
thankful as well for this opportunity to connect with people, beautiful people like you that are offering me the opportunity to to speak and to
yes.
tell about myself to others. Thank
No, yes, thank you, thank you. Does this feel now, do you feel this as success? The healing has brought you here to this place of success, whatever that means for you. I know for some people, when they hear the word success, sometimes they think big houses, lots of cars, a lot of money. But I think I have come to know a lot of people, and success is just a lot different from what most of us imagine at times. Do you feel now that you are at that place where you're like, this is success? And do you think this is it, or is there a lot more work to do still?
uh, there is always a lot to do. It's like uh, peeling layers of the onion all the time.
Yeah.
Yes, I I never stay still. I always want, okay, I have achieved this, and now I want more and more, because that's part of life. It's growing as well,
Yeah.
and we change
Mhm.
as humans. We don't stay where we are. Um, Success for me are those little steps. Every time I achieve, I conquer a
Mhm.
fear, I conquer, I heal a trauma.
Mhm.
That's a success for me as well. Um, I still don't have the financial resources that I would love to have, or that
Not yet. Not yet.
I am
They're
aiming
coming.
to have. Yes, but I feel very, very glad and very proud of myself as well, because this is um, a very uh, expensive country
Mm-hmm.
where transportation and
Everything.
it's very expensive. But I have managed my ways without any support from the government and by being a single mother for the
Yeah.
last 4 years. So that's also success for me. And just the fact of having published this
Yes.
and showing my daughter that dreams do come true,
Mm-hmm.
that it is possible to bring to this reality what you are passionate about. And that's also a success, not only in terms of, you know, that that thing of, oh yes, I wrote a book and I have a book. No, it's deeper than that. It's
Mm-hmm.
also the the acknowledgement of, hey, I didn't have the money to pay for the illustrations, and a friend of mine recommended me, well, why don't you run a Kickstarter project to raise the funds?
Mm-hmm.
And I did that last year during the lockdown,
Mm-hmm.
while being a single mom, and my daughter was not in the school, and I raised the funds that I needed to pay for the illustrations. So those those steps that are challenging at the beginning, at the moment they are very challenging, and then when I go through them, I go and pass them, I say to myself, yes, I could do it, and that's success for me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Acknowledging not only the end product, which is your book or any other thing that people might be going through, but actually the whole journey. I think you're right, acknowledging what we go through and the journey, it's super important. I think sometimes it's more valuable than the actual end product. So for sure.
Yes.
Yes. Thank
Totally.
you, Kizzy. Thank you for this amazing time here with us. Thank you for being here. Thank you for
Thank you,
sharing
Alex.
part of your story. I will put all your information on the show notes for people that wants to like check out your book, that they want to see your content and all that. I will put all your social media on the show notes too. To for anyone that would like to also find out a little bit about my show, you can always find me at alexbalgood.com. You can find me on social media, Facebook, Instagram. And also, if you want to grab a copy of my book, Parents Are Our Greatest Teachers, you can do that on Amazon. And now it's available on Barnes and Nobles. So you can get it anywhere. And so, as well as Kizzy book too. So I will put all of our links and notes on the show notes. And thank you everyone for being here today. Thank you, Kizzy.
Thank you.
Have a
Bye.
blessed day.
You too.